It's Obaasima Summit. Women want to gather. You, a man, what is your business about this program? And you are doing publicity. And why should we, the men, also attend? Was that not your concern you raised? Pardon me, I forgot your name. What's your name? Vincent, yes. Vincent said that. And I got a little bit of that when I advertised a flyer on my social media handles. A number of messages, phone calls. Oh, Honorable, are you really attending Obaasima Summit? Why did they invite you? What are you doing there? Or are you considering the LGBTQ? You know, these days there's gender fluidity, where people say that they are women entrapped in the body of a man, or they are considering changing their gender. So some people wanted to be sure, that in these days of LGBTQ, I'm not probably feeling trapped, But on a more serious note, ladies and gentlemen, even more men should be attending these events than women. That is my view. What we are discussing with this whole Obaasima agenda is simply one item. And that item is discrimination. That's the point many people lose and they miss. Discrimination has not ended when slavery was abolished. Discrimination didn't end when colonialism was defeated in Ghana on the 6th of March 1957. Discrimination didn't end when apartheid was defeated in South Africa. What women are going through in the human race today is nothing but discrimination, and we must call it what it is. That is what it is. I'm sorry I can't find any nice word, anything more, if you like, acceptable or more palatable to your hearing, more soothing to your ear. I'm afraid we must call it what it is. And discrimination against women has been going on for centuries. Will you believe that it is only as recent as 1920 that women were allowed to vote? Can you believe that in the United States of America? By the 19th Amendment to their Constitution. Women had to struggle, women had to protest, women had to fight to have the right to vote. Can you, I mean, not to contest. I mean, you guys have gone very far. Oh, I want to be president. I want to see more women presidents and, ministers and chief executives. Just to vote. Vote for the men, if you like. The women were blocked. Are you aware that as we speak, and this is documented, you can check ILO data, for the same kind of work, same hours, same input, and sometimes even much better output, do you know that men are paid far better than women? Wage discrimination against women is a major, major issue. The fact is that all the roles that our resource persons are occupying, Mamiama, Tracy, if they were men, men will be earning more in those same capacities. That is the fact. I was looking at latest data in the United States of America. Our counterparts there, it is worse if you are black and you are female. Double jeopardy. The data shows that the median annual earnings black females earn averagely $20,000 lower than their white and Hispanic counterparts. Think about that. $20,000 lower. You come to sports, athletes. The men are far advanced. And now women athletes are rising up in tennis, rising up in football, in soccer, rising up in basketball, and saying that, look, the same energy. At first you thought we couldn't play, you thought we can't do it, you thought we didn't have the capacity, the skills. Now we are doing it, attracting fans, attracting attention, and yet we are paid peanuts. So what is at stake is simply discrimination. That is what it is. So if you are not comfortable when racism continues, that you and I, if we are to visit the United States of America today, and we are driving on the streets with our international driving license, there is a very high propensity that the cops could stop us, and that may be the last time anybody saw us alive. And we are so outraged by it, and I like the outrage, it's good. We are so outraged that even before George Floyd's family could organize a funeral in America, we in Ghana organized one for George Floyd's family when George Floyd was killed. That's the level of outrage. That's how angry we get anytime we are told that there's so much racism in America, and that our fellow blacks, our compatriots who were taken away from us some 500 years ago, 600 years ago, their descendants, their grandchildren are being killed with impunity. We get so angry. We organize funerals. Some even want to travel there if the U.S. Embassy could be kind to our visa applicants to go and attend the funerals. Because, you know, we still don't joke with funerals here, you know. I've never really understood that, you know. And these days, let me commend doctors. And since a lot of you here are young, up-and-coming doctors, there's a new trick some of the doctors are using. It's very good. You people should adopt it. Families who don't care when you are sick and you are dying. And sometimes it's MPs and others, non-relatives who have to go and help. As soon as they call them that, oh, come for the dead body, the person is there, oh, they rush there. There's even a big fight over who should take custody, who should be in charge of the dead body. And suddenly they have money, you know, for the mortuary bills, for coffin and all of that. So some doctors are using that trick, and as soon as they arrive, they say, yeah, good numbers, make a contribution. He hasn't died yet. Pay the bills. So it's a very good concept. You may want to call it deception or fraudulent misrepresentation or what have you, but I don't care about all of that. It's working. And I endorse that kind of, because of some of these very weird, conduct and attitudes that we have. So back to the substantive point. We are all angry at racism. We are bored. That is what our women are going through. And that is why all of us, more so the men, who really, let's not pretend, are the perpetrators of what the women are going through. And here, I remember what Fyodor Dostoevsky said, one of my favorite philosophers. He said that if you feel pain, you are alive. What it just means is that you are alive if you feel pain. But if you feel somebody's pain, then you are a human being. Joining this movement, calling out discrimination, and saying that the discrimination against women must end, is simply being a human being. And all of us must join that cause, whether you are man or woman, female or male. We must all join that cause as human beings. Particularly when there are all kinds of notions that must be shattered. Why do people say that it's a man's world? Why? And a lot of you young ladies want to accept that. Please don't accept that theory. If God wanted to create a man's world, he will have put only men in the world. So I don't buy that theory. And some of those things that we say and is getting ingrained in our psyche, let's stop it. When a woman gives birth and they say it's a boy, then different kind of response. Oh, and they were nipa and all of that. When a boy, we must banish those thoughts and those sayings and all of those. You see, little sayings, thought processes, actions, conduct, and that is how we are widening the schism, and we are creating barriers that should not exist. And now it has been proven beyond any scintilla of doubt that no sex is better than the other. And there is nothing that is impossible to achieve once you set forth to achieve them. And actually, when you think about it carefully, some of the things that women feel unable to do or think that they probably can't do, even within the male category, are things that a lot of men can't also do. Have you thought about that? So, we are all created differently. Variety is the spice of life. I could never have been a great footballer. I can't lift metal to even save my life. If you put a gun to my head, then just kill me. Because if I try to lift it, I'll die anyway, you know. And yet, a lot of men are walking around claiming to be so macho, and every man wants to think that they are carved in a certain societal framework, some stereotype that all of us belong to. It's not true. It's a myth. It's not true. We all have one form of disability or the other, one form of disadvantage or the other. When Tracy was speaking German, I said, Madam, please stop it, you know. That's what I was saying in my head. I'm not very good with languages, you know. Don't come and remind me of my woes, you know. So that's a disadvantage I have. It's a disability I have. So as I heard some of you women saying that, you know, a lot of women don't understand themselves, don't know what they can do and all of that. Yeah, that is life. What you must do is identify what you can do. We are all different. We all have our strengths. Identify what you can do, what comes to you naturally, easily, and perfect that. And pursue that. And excel in that. And everybody will come and celebrate you, whether they are men or they are women. So I think that sometimes this strenuous struggle to straitjacket ourselves and to be so binary, I must be this or I'm failing, is wrong. We all have the purpose for which we are on earth. We all have the reason to be alive. And it is your duty to locate that reason, that purpose, and to pursue it. The other matter that we must discuss is really how we wage this battle and make more impact and succeed at it. I hear a lot of you rising up and say, oh, how can I get sponsorship? Is there any NGO that can adopt me? Who can come to my aid? I must tell you that was the only depressing moment as I sat up there. Please, you must change your orientation. And you must do that quickly. I am glad that I'm speaking to a majority public health students, medical students, nursing students, and the allied sciences. And by the way, let me pay tribute to the late Professor John Evans Atta-Mills. This university was his vision, my mentor and godfather. And anytime I read the reviews, I feel so proud of you guys. And I know Professor Mills will be smiling wherever he is. 10 years on, and you are already, I saw the Times Higher Education ranking. You were ranked #1 as a SDG 3 university. #1 SDG 3 university in Ghana. I also saw the recent DA Scientific Index, and the top 6 scientists in Ghana were all scientists from UHAS. I want to salute people like Professor Binka, Professor John Japon, Professor Boachi, your former Pro VC, and others who were on that list. Amazing stuff you guys are doing for a university that is only a decade old. We must all celebrate you guys. But it brings me to the more important point. The most iconic activists in my mind, and who are my role models really, the first one, the medical doctor par excellence, Ernesto Che Guevara. And all of you who are aspiring doctors who want to make an impact in society, please go read up on Ernesto Che Guevara. And yesterday, I'll tell you a very interesting development. Only yesterday, I had the best lunch of the year. The Cuban ambassador to Ghana invited me to meet a visiting professor and parliamentarian. I'm sure Mamiama met him. Do you know that man's rise to fame? The 70-year-old professor is the one who led the archaeological team, he's a scientist, to the Bolivian jungle and discovered the remains of Ernesto Che Guevara. He led the team. So he's a national hero in Cuba, in Argentina, in Bolivia. And I had lunch with him. So you can imagine how I'm feeling since yesterday. And he was the first to hold Ernesto Che Guevara's teeth as they dug up, you know. And I had to shake his hands again, you know. You can imagine how many pictures I took with him. But what does Ernesto Che Guevara, who, by the way, his image has been voted as the most popular and the most recognizable photo. Ernesto Che Guevara was not even 40 when he died, 1928 to 1967. Spent only 39 years. He said, as a medical doctor, patients come to him and they can't pay fees. They are sick, they don't even want to go to the hospital because they can't afford. He saw the poverty. He saw the discrimination. He saw the pillaging that was going on in Southern America. And he said that where he can make the most impact is to change the society, is to engage in political struggle. So he aligned with the likes of Fidel Castro. They brought down the Batista regime in Cuba and liberated the Cuban people. Ernesto Che Guevara, for those of you who don't know, was Kwame Nkrumah's friend. He visited Ghana. This Argentine young medical doctor was on the verge of saving the Bolivian people when Bolivian troops backed by the CIA assassinated him. But his impact has been towering. If he had stayed as some, I don't care, young medical doctor in a small consultation, at least because of that consciousness that he ignited, many people today are students of Marxism, Leninism. They are questioning the status quo and pushing harder for a fair and just society. A young medical doctor. And he used his profession, medicine, to cause political change. He didn't sit in Argentina waiting for sponsors, waiting for NGOs, waiting for manna to fall from heaven. He told himself that, look, this injustice is unacceptable. I must speak up against it. I must fight it. And the nursing students, all of you have been told Florence Nightingale is the mother of modern nursing. And you all want to be a Nightingale. But often, where emphasis is not laid, is that apart from she professionalizing nursing, creating structures for nursing, she was also an activist. And that is the portion of her life that I take interest in. She was among the first people to point to the level of hunger in India and how colonialism was destroying the Indian people. And she mobilized. She sought aid for the Indian people. She was against other staff in the hospital environment being seen as just laborers or slaves, if you like. She said that, look, nursing must be rewarding, must be paid for. And she set up the first nursing institution and created certification. What led to all of that? It was her mindset, her orientation. She was fighting for rights. A lot of us today, a lot of us young people in Ghana today, we are only fighting for jobs. We are only fighting for salaries. Our mindset is so low. It's just the basics, which you are entitled to anyway. as young activists, as student leaders, if you come to consider the fact that the history of colonialism, the defeat of colonialism, is tied to the student movement, I'm sure you are all aware that all those activists who fought, led the independence struggle, were student leaders. I hope you know that. Kwame Nkrumah, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Nyerere, and all the likes. The West Africa Students Union. The Manchester Conference they put together in 1945, which gave the final spark that led to the defeat of colonialism. They were student leaders in colleges like you. Do you think that if they were sitting on campuses when there is an outreach, when there is a talk, when there is an Obaasima visitation, and then they ask for sponsorship, do you think that we will have been independent today? They took their destiny into their own hands. They said that, look, these things are not acceptable. And they fought against them. Why should we accept the draconian taxes on sanitary pads? To me, this is a matter that should lead to mass protests. There should be a campaign that must force the political elite to remove those taxes and to make them available. Yes, the efforts of people like Tracy commendable, but it is just a stopgap measure. This cannot be the solution. It cannot be a permanent fix. I mean, when I look at what student leaders, even our time, what we used to fight for, what we were loud against, and today it's just acceptable. Sometimes you go to a tertiary institution, you are not too sure if you have entered a secondary school or a junior high school. It's unbelievable. We cannot be impactful if we do not break free from our comfort zones and question the status quo. We have made our leaders, me inclusive, too comfortable because you accept anything. And everybody has checked out. Everybody is looking for some other body to save the day. When the people we pay our taxes to, the people who come to ask for votes, to be leaders, we are not holding them accountable. And political choices, policy formulation, is all about where the political leadership believes that there is traction. Those who are shouting the loudest, those who are demanding action, when the political leadership see that there will be consequences. I cannot believe that in a country where 51% are women, women issues should be issues that have been relegated, that are on the peripheries. It means you don't know the power that you possess. And if this was the attitude, women will still not be voting, even in the United States of America. If this was the attitude. So, it is not about inciting you. It is about asking you to know your rights and to fight for those rights. All the little rights and privileges that you enjoy today, remember that if your predecessors did not fight for it, you will not be sitting here today. And that brings me to some of the matters that are dear to my heart, that I think that all of us should take up and support. In my constituency, I am proud to say that we are the only constituency in all 275 constituencies in Ghana today, the only constituency that has abolished fees that victims of sexual abuses must pay when they go to the police station, when they go to hospitals. If North Town can do it, all the other constituencies can do it. And all I did was to call the police commanders, the medical superintendents, the district health director, and I said, look, I'm going to set up a fund, take care of the fees from the fund. The doctor said, you know, that when they have to do the tests, a rape victim, the tests are expensive, and then the prosecution of the culprits, they have to be going back and forth the various courts, houses, sometimes in Ho or in Adidoma. I said, don't worry, the fund will take care of all of that. The victims are already traumatized. Mostly those who are raped, those who are assaulted, are the most vulnerable. They have nobody. And then, in our society, we impose further financial burden on a traumatized victim of sexual abuse. I am hoping, and I've spoken to a number of colleagues, that we can amend the Health Insurance Act so that we can create a line item in the Act to take care of this and abolish this nationwide. This cannot continue. The other matter I've taken up in my constituency strongly is to deal with health concerns, matters that border on life and death for our women. Cervical cancer is a major killer. And I don't think we talk about it enough. Do you know that every year we lose 1,700 of our women to cervical cancer? I noticed that breast cancer does attract a lot of attention. There's a lot of publicity about that. That is good. And I think mostly it's because we the guys, we all like breasts. So, that is how we all survived anyway when we were born. My mother says I didn't want to let go, so and I'm not too sure that I have been successfully weaned off, but that is all I'll say for that matter now. But the second cancer which is really afflicting our women is cervical cancer. And I was surprised to hear that a lot of those deaths, if not all, are preventable. And that young ladies can be vaccinated. Did you know that? From 11 years, 12 years, 13 years. When you are vaccinated, all of those viruses that lead to cervical cancer are dealt with. Again, I'm glad to say that in North Town, we have established probably the most modern cervical cancer screening center. And I bought the latest, the most modern cervical cancer screening equipment for the Bator Catholic Hospital. And what that has led to is that women can screen voluntarily at virtually less than half the cost. which they will have paid for elsewhere. So, these examples, I'm raising them to show that we can decide to make a difference in our own small ways wherever we find ourselves. It's not just about lip service. The commitment to the cause must be demonstrable. We must see it. If you come to the Education Directorate and you talk to the District Director of Education, she will tell you that every month we have a package from the MP's office to take care of vulnerable girls and to ensure that they don't have to worry about their cycles, they don't have to worry about absenteeism, and they don't have to worry about their confidence during those periods. So I think that these are efforts that can be pursued, that should be amplified, that should be scaled up at the national level. And I have spoken to people who have returned from universities abroad, top scholarships, and they tell you that, look, even in those privileged institutions, there are places that you can go pick some of these items for free. It should be possible in this country to have the Girls Directorate in all our district education offices stocked with sanitary pads so that vulnerable girls can just go there and have them to use for free. It should be possible. And we can find ways of even manufacturing this here, creating jobs for our young people, so that it doesn't even have to be that expensive. We don't have to pay all of these duties and all of that. We just have to think outside the box. We just have to be practical. And we just have to demand of our leaders to prioritize the things that matter, to focus on the things that matter. I mean, you have heard me on some of my campaigns. I still can't believe. I mean, I'm at a loss. I'm so dazed, I'm so confused that Ghana, which doesn't feature anywhere in the Bible. I have read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. I'm not a Hafiz. If it was a Quran I read like that, I would have become a Hafiz. You know, I still can't believe it that we want to spend about $1 billion when you do the analysis on a national cathedral. I can't believe that. And you know, I can't drop the mic if I don't talk about this matter. And you see, sometimes in this country, we have lost the definition of what politics is. We are all political animals. And everything this university exists because of a political decision. This university. If Professor Mills has said that he loves Ho very much, and he thinks that when he comes here, there should be some nice restaurant or hotel somewhere, so he would rather build that. This university wouldn't exist. That's what will have been here. So everything is about political choices. The countries we admire, the places we want to go for so-called greener pastures, is because their leadership prioritized the people's needs and did what mattered. So it's not about politics. And it's not necessary. And I don't believe that everybody in the MPP necessarily supports this or would want to support this. That's the problem we have with the way we do our partisan politics in Ghana. Because one person, does something, then all of us, because he belongs to my group, I must necessarily support. No. People know in my party, the last time, I don't know how many of you read my article, after the vote, that disastrous vote on the ministerial and judicial nominees, I didn't hide my feelings, and I blasted the traitors. I accused them of treachery, because that's what it is. We had caucus meetings, and we all decided that President Akufo-Addo is increasing the government too much. We are in crisis. He should be reducing the size of government, not increasing. The bloated government cannot continue. He should downsize. Nobody in the meeting said, no, I disagree with you guys. I am for Akufo-Addo. I support the minister. Nobody said that. We all said, oh, yes, yes. And we even said, let's go and hold a press conference. Let's tell the Ghanaian public that we will vote against. We are opposed. Only for the vote to take place after the press conference and all the public assurances. More than 30 of you stabbing us in the back, and this one stabbing us everywhere. Back, front, head, everywhere. And you think that I'm going to support you people because you belong to my party. I would not. I would not. Because we would even not have credibility. Next time we go and hold a press conference, make any promise, give any assurance, the Ghanaian people won't take us serious. I don't believe in treacherous politics. Politics without principle. Politics of betrayal. I don't believe in that. And if because of that, one day I'll be suspended or banished from my party, well, so be it. If you are not in a party, if you are not in a party, it doesn't mean that you can't have oxygen to breathe and stay alive. You know, the way some people do politics, you know. So really, this National Cathedral thing, and they say that they will build a restaurant where they will be serving manna and unleavened bread, and they will bring the fig fruit, you know, all the things that you read in the Bible. I mean, can you believe that? Look, so see where the unemployment rate is currently, according to the latest population housing census. It's more than doubled from 2016. And Friday night, we'll go to the Bible Museum restaurant, cross our legs. Poor country, Ghana, with high unemployment. You can't get childhood vaccines for your babies. And this is your priority. You are waiting for, and all of this, doesn't it occur to our leaders that the fact that they even have to import all of this from Israel, even the stone, the cornerstone of the project was imported from Israel. That itself should tell you, look, people travel for tourism for the authentic experience, isn't it? If I want to go to where Jesus walked, where Jesus sat, where Jesus prayed, where Jesus fasted for 40 days, I want to go to the real place, isn't it? If I want to buy air ticket. Because the airline operators won't say that, well, because you are going for the fake experience in Ghana, the make-believe one, so we are going to reduce the cost for you, give you a discount, or you won't pay at all. And who will leave the original places in Jerusalem, in Jordan, and come to Accra, near Parliament House, where a lot has been happening these days, which I'm not sure that the Bible will want to record. So really, what is going on? And imagine what $1 billion can do. And all of these things are going on because leadership believes that, oh, the people are so docile. I bet you this could not have happened in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s. Even when I was NUC's president, some of the things we have demonstrated, I led demonstrations that the student loan at the time, which was administered by SNIT, has delayed. Can you believe that? Delayed. Today, you people are not even on the list at all. Student loan has collapsed, and you are all quiet. We, 1 day delay. And you know what I never told my colleagues? I was not a beneficiary. I never registered for the SNIT loan. My mother said, hey, I don't want you finishing school and you're already in debt. You owe government upon graduation. But I dare not tell colleagues when I was aspiring, because then they won't vote for me. Hey, that is too much information to give to your colleagues. It means you are not Mobrowa, you are not like us. The majority takes the SNIT loan. You are not on it. How can we trust you to defend us when there are delays, to lead us to fight for it? They wouldn't have voted for me, so I kept that information to myself. They found out later, and they were rather impressed that even though I'm not a direct beneficiary, I was always fighting for them. And that's how it must be. So our leadership will keep making all the mistakes if we don't force the priority on them. And that is what we should do. As activists, let us. I sit in Parliament. I don't remember the last time I got a presentation, a petition, a memoranda from the student movement on a lot of these issues. Get Fund, are you aware Get Fund has virtually collapsed? We could not take the Get Fund formula. It's the only statutory body that could not present a formula before we rose in Parliament because it's collapsed. They owe in excess of $1 billion Ghana cedis, about 1.2 billion. Dachi bond. They've borrowed everything. So we did the DACF, we did the health insurance formula, but we couldn't do the Get Fund formula. And the student movement is quiet. I'm sure even a lot of the student leaders don't know. So when I go through my history of the student movement and I see how our fathers demonstrated at the University of Ghana because they were being served with too much chicken. I mean, can you believe that? They were feeding them thrice a day. Can you believe that? Can you imagine? By the time we got to the university, that had been cancelled. You had to buy your own food. They were being served 3 times a day. And they said they wanted balanced diet. There was too much chicken. And if you think I am lying, go and read Professor Francis Agbodeke's book, A History of the University of Ghana. Every student leader must read that book, must get a copy of that book. Those were the glorious days. When a student is victimized at KNUST or at UCC, all other students would declare a sit-down strike in solidarity. Today, what are the things that matter to you? Everybody wants to be a comedian on TikTok. As Tracy was saying, people want to set agenda on Twitter. The last time I was so appalled, I couldn't believe what I was reading. Somebody decides to marry his wife. Beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. They love each other. They are not complaining. And then the current youth are up in arms that they can't believe the choice of their colleague youth. That what is wrong with his eyes. I mean, so appalling, so disgusting. And these days, I have stopped going to Twitter trends because the things that are trending, I was like, I mean, when you know the problems in this country, you know the priorities that we have missed. On my way here, Kofi, my PA, will bear me out. My secretary called. Last night there was an SOS. A constituent of mine from Aveime Zongo had to rush her baby to 37 hospital. The baby is on oxygen. So I had to send them money. The word this morning as I was on my way is that there must be urgent surgery. If not, the baby will die. And guess how much they need? 7,000 cedis. And the hospital said they don't have any fund, there's no arrangement to do such emergency surgery so that you can even pay later. If you don't bring the money, that's it, the baby dies. You can talk to Kofi. Irene called, your best friend, Mame. She was so worried. How can you are in transit. How can you send that money so that we save the baby's life? I pray the baby survives, the baby makes it. But in modern societies, these things are unheard of. There will be a fund, there will be an arrangement, the baby will be taken care of. If the poor parents cannot afford, government will take care of the child. Life first, they value life. It was Mahatma Gandhi who said that the measure of any society is how that society takes care of the vulnerable. And see our priorities. The other matter that you know I've been passionate about, which also epitomizes the lack of priority, is this business of chartering luxury jets. To go to countries where their leaders even fly commercial, sit on trains, ride bicycles, to go and beg them. But African leaders, if you don't come grand, then you are not. So they compete amongst themselves. I remember one of them telling me in Parliament, but you, Ablakwa, you have to stop this campaign. I mean, when there's an AU meeting, do you one of these days, I'll take you along to the airport to see how African presidents arrive. And you are complaining about this charter jet. Let the old man chill small. So look at the mindset. That is the mindset. Useless competition. When others are competing about how well we've taken care of the vulnerable and removed the gaps, removed all the differences, so that at least survival issues, basic needs are catered for. This is the pettiness. And you think that these leaders will go and beg? You think they don't know how you are living, how you arrived? They had to give you a flying pass anyway. And do you get surprised when they think that they can come here and order our leaders about and tell us to accept LGBTQI? Why do you get angry? You shouldn't be angry. Because there is really no much respect for us. No much respect. The last time Kamala was here, people were clapping. I was shocked. She offered, $100 million for 5 countries to share. $20 million each. Can you believe that? $20 million. It's not even up to what we have spent on luxury jet travels, when we have a functioning presidential jet. So these are leadership choices. And sometimes we take up these matters, and I'm surprised we don't get the level of anger, the level of even support. Because when we succeed with these battles, and recently I've had to commend the president, even though some people have said it's because we are broke, that's why he has changed his life. At least his last 3 trips, he's used a presidential jet. The jet that they said cannot travel long distance is now going everywhere. The accounts have a very nice saying. They say that it's only in social that teaches people to change. It's only when they go through the realities of life that they repent. But you see, the point is that you have the intellect, you have the energy, you have youth on your side. The society that you want to see 10 years from now, don't forget that is the team. That is why we are gathered here today. The future we want. And that future, we have to create it. Nkrumah said he is not going to graduate, return to Ghana, And B, he was even beating all these white students. And Tracy will tell you, they are not special. Mamiama has been to university in the UK. We've all been in class with them. They are not special. And normally, you know, those who even leave your class and go abroad, you get shocked when you hear the reports. People who were struggling in our class, you hear that they are topping the class there and they are receiving prizes. Have we all not been shocked? Yeah. I have even lost count. Those who they say couldn't make it to the law school here in Ghana, they go to Gambia and other places and they are topping, they're receiving all the prizes. So the future we want, we have to create it. Nobody is going to give it to us. As for leadership, if you allow them, they want more tax. They will tax if they can even tax oxygen, they will tax it. Now the youth, they thought that they couldn't be bothered. Now I'm seeing a lot of people sending me messages in my DM. The Honorable, you are not speaking about the betting. You are not speaking about betting tax. You are not speaking about betting tax. You know, we must hear your voice. Now you want to hear my voice. If you had added your voice to my small voice on other issues I was raising earlier, so much money would not have been wasted. Now the money is all finished. The country is broke. Even the National Cathedral has been suspended. 1 year now, they can't find money to continue. We now have the most expensive hole in the world. Can you believe that? $58 million. You know how much that is today? $58 million.